Chaos erupted on live TV when Joe Rogan stormed into the View. The hosts froze, tensions exploded, and every word Rogan said hit like a lightning bolt. What started as a simple interview turned into an intense showdown that nobody saw coming. And the reactions are absolutely wild. You have to see this to believe it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now let's dive into what really happened. Nobody saw this coming. That was the immediate reaction from viewers when Joe Rogan stepped into the studio of The View. What was supposed to be a standard interview, a routine segment with casual questions and polite exchanges, instantly transformed into something unforgettable. Within minutes, the entire atmosphere became electric, almost crackling with tension. The studio lights, the chatter of the audience, even the seemingly calm expressions of the hosts, all of it changed the moment Rogan walked through the door. Joe Rogan is known for one thing above all else: his no-nonsense approach. He doesn't sugarcoat, he doesn't sidestep, and he certainly doesn't play by the usual rules of polite television. Fans of Rogan had always admired his brutally honest opinions, his willingness to speak truths that others shy away from. But seeing him in this high-pressure, mainstream talk show environment brought his reputation into a completely new light. Viewers were not prepared for the whirlwind about to unfold. The confrontation began almost immediately. The hosts, typically masters of control in their studio, were caught off guard. What started as a few straightforward questions quickly escalated when Rogan, in his signature calm but piercing style, began asking pointed, insightful questions. There was no fluff, no filler, no typical small talk. Instead, Rogan challenged the narrative, highlighted inconsistencies, and demanded clarity in a way that left the hosts momentarily speechless. You could see the subtle signs of unease ripple across the studio. A shift in posture, a delayed response, a nervous laugh, small gestures that spoke volumes. The hosts, who normally exude confidence and command the room, seemed momentarily uncertain. This was not part of their usual experience. Rogan's presence and approach disrupted the rhythm of the show, and the audience immediately felt the change. Every viewer watching from home sensed the tension rising, hanging in the air like electricity before a lightning strike. What made this moment so shocking wasn't just Rogan's intensity. It was how effortlessly he exposed the cracks in the carefully curated image of the hosts. His questions were sharp, precise, and thought-provoking, designed not to embarrass, but to reveal truths that often go unspoken on mainstream platforms. Yet, the effect was undeniable. The hosts were visibly flustered, struggling to find their footing in real time. Even more dramatic was the audience reaction. You could almost feel their collective heartbeat accelerate. The people in the studio, accustomed to smooth and controlled exchanges, now witnessed a rare event. An unfiltered conversation where one guest refused to conform. Murmurs spread among the audience, eyes widened, and cameras caught every stunned expression, amplifying the intensity for viewers at home. Social media would later explode with clips from this very segment, as fans and critics alike shared their disbelief and excitement. From a very first question, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a polite, scripted chat. Rogan had come prepared with facts, observations, and a fearless mindset. He wasn't here to agree, appease, or entertain politely. He was here to challenge, provoke thought, and force transparency. His sharp observations and candid style immediately set the tone for what would become a viral moment in talk show history. By the end of those first few minutes, it was obvious this encounter would not be forgotten anytime soon. It wasn't just a clash of personalities. It was a collision of ideologies, communication styles, and courage. Fans watching online, and those present in the studio, knew they were witnessing a rare spectacle. Rogan's fearless approach to confrontation, combined with the host's struggle to respond, created a drama that was both intense and mesmerizing. In short, the moment Joe Rogan entered the View studio marked the beginning of a televised event that stunned everyone. It was bold, raw, and unfiltered, a perfect storm of tension, curiosity, and entertainment that set the stage for what was about to unfold. From that very first question, the audience knew this was history in the making. Joe Rogan has built his reputation on one thing: asking the questions that most people are too afraid or too polite to ask. And when he stepped into the studio, The View, He brought that same fearless approach with him. From the very beginning, it was clear that Rogan wasn't there for small talk or scripted answers. Every question he posed had depth, insight, and an almost surgical precision that left the host scrambling to respond. The tension in the studio rose with every passing second. Rogan's questions ranged from controversial political stances to the double standards often seen in media coverage. He didn't just scratch the surface. He dug deep, exposing contradictions and challenging assumptions that the hosts had previously avoided discussing publicly. The hosts, who are usually confident and in control of every segment, suddenly found themselves on the defensive. They had to think quickly, and the pressure was visible in every subtle shift in posture and every pause before answering. One of the most jaw-dropping moments came when Rogan turned the spotlight on a recent segment that had gone viral online. He asked a pointed question about the reasoning behind a statement made on the show, one that had already stirred controversy among viewers. The room went completely silent. You could feel the weight of the question pressing on everyone present. Rogan's voice was calm but firm, his tone measured, making it impossible to dismiss or deflect. He wasn't yelling or attacking. Instead, he was exposing inconsistencies in a way that demanded accountability. What made this moment so powerful was Rogan's approach. Unlike many confrontations on talk shows, which rely on shouting, sarcasm, or theatrics, Rogan's style was the opposite. He remained composed, confident, and almost disarmingly polite while making it clear that he expected honest, thoughtful answers. This method created a tension that was both uncomfortable and mesmerizing for everyone watching. The host struggled to respond, searching for the right words, and in some cases, their answers only highlighted the very points Rogan was challenging. The live audience could feel the shift in energy immediately. There was a collective holding of breath as viewers watched the hosts try to navigate Rogan's relentless questioning. Every response, hesitation, or attempt to redirect the conversation only added to the intensity. It wasn't just a debate. It was a test of poise, preparation, and courage under pressure. For the audience at home, it was captivating television, the kind of moment that makes people stop scrolling and pay full attention. Almost instantly, the segment began making waves online. Clips of Rogan's pointed questions and the host's reaction spread like wildfire across social media platforms. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube were flooded with reactions, memes, and commentary. Fans praised Rogan for his honesty, courage, and the way he held the host accountable, while others debated whether his approach was too confrontational. Either way, the conversation was happening everywhere, and it made clear that this encounter will be remembered for a long time. The intensity of Rogan's questions also sparked broader discussions about media responsibility and the need for transparency in public discourse. Viewers weren't just entertained. They were engaged, thinking critically and analyzing both sides of the exchange. This was the kind of moment that turns casual viewers into active participants in a larger conversation, which is a rare feat for any talk show segment. In the end, Rogan's questioning left a lasting impression. He didn't just challenge the hosts. He challenged the audience to reconsider what is said, how it's presented, and why it matters. By the time this segment ended, it was obvious to everyone watching. Joe Rogan had set a new standard for bold, fearless dialogue on live television. He had proven once again why he is one of the most compelling voices in modern media. Someone unafraid to push boundaries, confront uncomfortable truths, and make audiences think. As the conversation escalated, the hosts of the View suddenly found themselves in uncharted territory. This was a scenario they were not used to, a guest who refused to follow the usual rules, a conversation that didn't bend to polite scripts or rehearsed answers. Joe Rogan, with his calm yet relentless style, had flipped the entire dynamic of the show. The hosts, usually in control of every discussion, were now forced to think on their feet under intense scrutiny. It was fascinating to watch. You could read their expressions like an open book, surprise, frustration, a subtle hint of panic that grew with every passing moment. They tried their usual tactics, deflecting questions, redirecting the conversation, even adding humor to ease the tension, but nothing worked. Rogan wasn't rattled, and he wasn't backing down. His presence alone demanded honesty, and every attempt to sidestep only drew him closer, his questions sharper, his logic more precise. One particularly striking moment captured the essence of the struggle. A host tried to laugh off a pointed question about media bias, hoping the levity would shift the focus. But Rogan, maintaining his signature calm demeanor, pressed further. He didn't raise his voice or create drama. He simply repeated the question with clarity and precision, forcing the host to confront the gap between their answer and the evidence Rogan presented. You could almost see the gears turning as they tried to craft a response that would satisfy both Rogan and the live audience, and yet the pressure of the moment left them faltering. The tension wasn't just visible, it was palpable. Every second seemed to stretch longer as Rogan dissected statements, pointing out inconsistencies with almost surgical precision. Viewers could sense the internal struggle of the hosts, the desire to maintain composure, uphold their authority, and answer convincingly, all while under the unrelenting gaze of the guest who refused to be placated. It was uncomfortable, yes, but also mesmerizing. The audience, both in the studio and at home, were witnessing something rare, real-time, high-stakes critical thinking, performed live on national television. What made this confrontation unforgettable wasn't simply the clash of personalities. It was a lesson in communication and debate that unfolded naturally. Rogan's approach was not about humiliating anyone. It was about exposing logical gaps, prompting self-reflection, and encouraging accountability. His ability to remain composed under pressure, while simultaneously challenging the host's reasoning, turned what could be a routine talk show segment into a masterclass in assertive dialogue. The struggle of the host also highlighted an important aspect of public conversation. Often, media figures operate within a bubble, comfortable steering discussions and controlling narratives. But when faced with someone who refuses to follow the script, those accustomed to authority suddenly encounter vulnerability. Rogan demonstrated that strength in conversation is not about dominating or shouting. It is about clarity, confidence, and unwavering focus. His calm persistence amplified the host's struggle, making the confrontation feel electric, intense, and impossible to ignore. By the time this section of the show concluded, it was evident that the hosts had been pushed beyond their comfort zone. Yet, the intensity of their responses, combined with Rogan's composed scrutiny, created a dynamic that captivated viewers. Social media discussions exploded immediately, with clips highlighting the host's awkward pauses and Rogan's sharp questions trending across platforms. Fans dissected every interaction, praising Rogan's skill while empathizing with the host's struggle to respond under pressure. Ultimately, this segment of the confrontation revealed more than just a clash of personalities. It showcased the power of preparation, confidence, and clear thinking in high-pressure situations. Joe Rogan's ability to remain unfazed, maintain control of the conversation, and push for honest dialogue left an indelible mark on everyone watching. The hosts struggled to respond didn't diminish their credibility. It amplified the intensity and drama, making this moment one of the most talked-about segments in recent talk show history. The moment the segment aired, it felt like the internet collectively held its breath, and then erupted. Within minutes, clips of Joe Rogan's confrontation with the View host were being shared across every major social media platform. Twitter feeds lit up with reactions, Instagram stories and reels exploded with highlights, and TikTok became flooded with short clips capturing Rogan's calm but piercing questions. It was clear from the start, this wasn't just another talk show moment. It was a viral phenomenon in the making. Fans of Rogan praised him for his honesty and courage, lauding his refusal to conform to the usual rules of polite conversation. Many viewers admired how he held the host accountable, asking the tough questions that most guests shy away from. For them, this was a refreshing break from scripted, surface-level interviews and a reminder of what authentic dialogue looks like. On the other hand, critics were quick to voice their concerns. Some argued that Rogan's approach was too aggressive, bordering on confrontational, and that it made the host appear uncomfortable on purpose. The debates themselves became part of the viral content, with viewers weighing in on both sides. The hashtag Rogan versus The View quickly began trending worldwide. Within hours, millions of views were racking up across YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Clips from the confrontation were shared by news outlets, media analysts, and influencers, all eager to dissect every moment. Screenshots of the host's stunned expressions, Rogan's calm intensity, and the tense exchanges circulated endlessly, turning the segment into a cultural talking point almost overnight. For many, this was more than just entertainment. It was a moment that sparked widespread discussion about honesty, media responsibility, and public discourse. News outlets didn't waste time covering the story. Headlines highlighted the intensity of the confrontation, Rogan's fearless questioning, and the host's attempts to respond under pressure. Analysts debated whether The View had been unprepared for such a direct style of interviewing, and whether this encounter might prompt talk shows across the country to rethink how they handle controversial guests. Some called it a masterclass in questioning, while others framed it as a cautionary tale about the power of media personalities who refuse to play by the rules. Beyond the immediate online frenzy, this confrontation ignited broader conversations about freedom of speech, accountability, and the responsibility of media figures to engage thoughtfully with difficult topics. Viewers who had never listened to Joe Rogan's podcast suddenly became curious, exploring his platform and discovering why he has amassed such a loyal following over the years. Podcasts, YouTube channels, and fan pages reported significant increases in traffic engagement and followers in the days following the broadcast. The segment not only made headlines, it amplified Rogan's reach and influence in a way few could have predicted. Memes, GIFs, and short clips became the language of the moment. One viral clip, showing Rogan calmly challenging a host while they fumble for words, was shared tens of thousands of times in less than 24 hours. Comment sections across platforms were alive with debates, reactions, and breakdowns of the dialogue. People weren't just watching, they were engaging, analyzing, and participating in the conversation. For a brief moment, the confrontation became a shared cultural experience, connecting fans, critics, and casual viewers alike. In essence, the online frenzy highlighted a new era of media consumption, where authenticity and fearless dialogue captivate audiences far more than polished, scripted performances. Joe Rogan's confrontation with The View didn't just make waves. It created a ripple effect across the digital world, reshaping how audiences perceive media interactions and inspiring discussions that went far beyond the studio walls. For those watching, it was more than a viral moment. It was a demonstration of the power of unfiltered conversation in a world increasingly dominated by curated narratives. By the end of the day, the segment had solidified itself as one of the most talked about media moments of the year, leaving a lasting mark on social media, news outlets, and a conversation about transparency and accountability in modern media. The frenzy wasn't just about entertainment. It was about relevance, courage, and the undeniable impact of asking the questions that others won't. So, what does this unforgettable confrontation mean for The View, Joe Rogan, and the broader world of talk shows? The implications are bigger than just a viral moment. This clash has set the stage for a shift in how audiences view media, dialogue, and authenticity on television. For The View, the confrontation serves as a wake-up call. The show has long thrived on lively debates, strong opinions, and charismatic hosts steering conversations with confidence. But Joe Rogan exposed a fundamental truth. Audiences today are increasingly drawn to unfiltered, honest conversations rather than scripted debates or carefully curated answers. Viewers want authenticity. They want transparency. They want to see people think on their feet and respond genuinely, even when it's uncomfortable. Shows that fail to adapt to this new demand risk losing relevance, credibility, and engagement. For The View, this moment could mark a turning point, prompting producers and hosts to rethink how they handle high-stakes discussions and controversial guests moving forward. For Joe Rogan, this episode further cements his reputation as one of the most fearless interviewers in modern media. His style, calm, precise, and unrelenting, is a stark contrast to the polished performances often seen on mainstream talk shows. Rogan doesn't seek to impress or entertain for the sake of applause. He seeks truth. He pushes boundaries, asks uncomfortable questions, and expects honest answers. This approach resonates with viewers who are tired of scripted narratives and predictable media interactions. His massive following isn't just a fan base. It's a testament to the growing appetite for authentic, transparent dialogue. In this segment, Rogan demonstrated why his approach works. He commanded the room, maintained composure under pressure, and challenged narratives without resorting to theatrics or aggression. For the audience, this confrontation offers a powerful lesson. Never underestimate the importance of speaking your truth, Whether viewers agree with Rogan's questions or not, his courage to confront uncomfortable truths and challenge accepted norms is inspiring. It reminds us all that honesty, even when it causes tension or discomfort, has an undeniable power. In a world where many people shy away from confrontation or difficult conversations, witnessing someone handle such an intense exchange with confidence and composure is both educational and motivating. The clash also sparks a broader conversation about the future of media. Audiences are increasingly aware of inconsistencies, biases, and the pressures behind mainstream media narratives. Moments like this highlight the importance of holding media figures accountable and valuing transparency over performance. Joe Rogan's Confrontation serves as a reminder that talk shows, and media in general, must evolve to meet the expectations of a more critical, engaged, and discerning audience. This isn't just about ratings. It's about relevance, trust, and meaningful engagement. Ultimately, this confrontation wasn't merely a heated exchange between Rogan and The View. It was a symbolic moment, challenging the status quo and questioning accepted narratives. It demonstrated that honesty, even when uncomfortable, captures attention in a way that polished performances never can. It also reinforced a timeless lesson for audiences. In conversation, courage and truth always stand out. Rogan's calm yet relentless approach reminded viewers and media professionals alike that real dialogue matters. It challenges perspectives, sparks discussion, and leaves a lasting impression. In the end, this moment will likely be remembered as more than just a viral incident. It's a reflection of the changing expectations of audiences, the power of authenticity in media, and the influence of individuals willing to speak their truth without compromise. For The View, for Rogan, and for viewers around the world, the takeaway is clear. The future belongs to honesty, boldness, and conversations that dare to go deeper than the surface.